Alrighty, and yes, I did wait until the World Series is over to do this review because I couldn't keep my eyes off of it. It was kind of hard for me to basically watch the last two games and also focus on the World Series at the same time because man, that game seven was absolutely bonkers. And I'm not gonna tell you who, of course, won it because obviously for those that probably didn't watch it or are probably gonna watch it later if they have it recorded on their DVR, you don't want to spoil the resort of the World Series. All I'll say is that that was such a great Game Seven, and it seems like that energy kind of translude in terms of some of these late games as well. Because you talk about MLS After Dark in terms of playoff edition, we definitely saw some MLS After Dark in terms of those two late games, and also in typical fashion, of course, those last two games has to go to a PK shootout and have to pretty much in some way delay this review, even though I was gonna do this review no matter what after the World Series is over. But either way, let us actually first talk about the early games. And we start off by talking about NYCFC versus Charlotte FC. So, in terms of what we saw in these five games action, yes, there are going to be some games that we're going to see in some playoff series that is going to be having a game number three that is, and this is definitely one of them. Though I will say that this was a game where for NYCFC they will be disappointed that they didn't get the job done at least in the second half because really for the second half they had their moments in the second half. Now, to be fair, Charlotte had their moments in the first half as well, and this actually was a PK shell that kind of looked a little bit like the Leeds Cup, where it just kind of gone on forever and ever, and I thought it would never end. And this was also happening. Well, this game was also happening at the same time as well. So yeah, I was really hoping this PK shell wraps up, and eventually it did. And in the end, Charlotte, of course, forced a game number three, and we're going to be heading back to Bank of America Stadium. Remember what I said about how I feel like this series is determined in terms of home field advantage, who can get the job done at home? Yeah, so much for that, because so far in this best of three series, it's been the road team that's been able to get the win. Now, in the fifth minute, O'Neal with the game's first shot, but he puts it over before Morales flashed it wide from close range. NYCFC was definitely on the front foot. They're trying to get the early lead to put the series away. The post would deny Bronico as that was Charlotte's first shot. So yeah, talk about an almost chance there for Charlotte, who was looking to score their first goal in this best of three series, and this won't be the only time that Charlotte would be denied by the post in this game. And at the same time, I also said that Freeze is a little thankful the fact that that one hits the post because he kind of flapped this one when he was trying to clear this away, trying to punch this away, and it goes right to Bronico, who hits the post there. We then go for a period where not much really happened. Markel would have a shot that was deflected over the bar in the 33rd minute before Gustavo heads it right to Kalina in the 40th minute. And YCFC was definitely ramping up the pressure again. They were looking to try to get the opener, but instead, Charlotte did get some response. Toffolo would put it wide in the pack pose, and yeah, that is one that Harry Toffolo would want to have back. He hasn't scored a goal so far for Charlotte FC, and so far this is probably one that probably should have been his first one because it was just an absolute sitter that he missed in the back post. Speaking of the post would deny Westwood, but it falls to Zaha who tried to score on the rebound, but instead he hits it right to Freeze. So yeah, talk about unlucky for Charlotte in this one. They had two glorious opportunity late in this one, but we do have to have time with this game tied up at 0-0. In the second half, Zaha would hit it right to Freeze from long range before Martinez hits it right to Kalina. Just like game one, Charlotte had more of the possession to start the second half, though again, that doesn't seem like it always bodes well for this team when it comes to trying to break teams down. That's kind of something that they don't like to do. Though keep in mind, Wilfred Zaha was available in this game, though I gotta say he was kind of a quiet. Well, I wouldn't say he was quiet, but he didn't really had as much of an impact as I thought they missed in game number one. That they really missed him in that game that they lost back in Charlotte. But NYCFC have. I also thought that part of that is because they defended well, despite the fact that they're getting pinned deep, and it was kind of similar to what we saw in game number one, where they weren't really allowing a lot of chances for Charlotte to get themselves the opening goal. And then in the 71st minute, Wolf would hits it over from the free kick. Wolf actually came off the bench in this one. That was kind of a surprising move there from Pascal Janssen, consider Wolf has been a huge impact in terms of this attack, and you kind of saw it too with the way that once he came on onto the pitch in this one, he not only so much better in terms of creating on the attack, but this NYCFC attack in general looked much better. In the 73rd minute, Kalina absolutely robbed Martins on a free header. I mean, Thiago Martins hits that one with a boatlet of a header, and somehow in some way, Kalina with some big save here to keep that one away. Pereira would then puts it wide from long range. NYCFC definitely woke up. Now they were pressing to try to get the lead and the series. Markel would then hits it right to Kalina before Ojeda would hits it right to Kalina in the 83rd minute. Now all of a sudden, Charlotte feels like they might want to take their chances in terms of PKs because all of a sudden the game has really turned. NYCFC was pushing hard to try to win this one in regulation. So Tokomati did had a chance in the 88th minute to at least maybe give the late goal for Charlotte and send this back to Charlotte for game three, but instead he hits it right to freeze. It was another very quiet game for Edon Tokomati. I mean, these last two games he's been kind of a non-factor for the Charlotte team, and I think that's kind of the reason why they're not scoring goals so far in this series for Charlotte. I mean, they need to get Tokomati more involved. He is pretty much the goal scorer for this team. But he's also a guy that needs service, and so far in these two games, he really hasn't had that. So this game ended 0-0 as we go to a PK shootout, and as I said, it went on for a while here. It felt like I was watching the Leeds Cup again when I always see those Leeds Cup PK shootout go like 7, 8, or 9 rounds. But in round number 8, Kalina would make a big save here to deny Ojeda to win the PK shootout for Charlotte. And yeah, in the end, Charlotte does win this shootout with a 7-6 score. They're going to be heading back to Bank of America Stadium for game number 3 for this one. The shots in this one, 17 shots created, 8 that Shard has, 3 shots on goal for the 5 that NYCFC had, 8 shots off target for the 1 that Shard has, 1 shot that was blocked for the 3 that NYCFC had, and possession-wise, 54% possession compared to 46% possession that Charlotte has in this game. And as I predicted, I knew this series was going to be going to be close. I mean, I did say in the beginning when I fell out the bracket that this feels like it's a series that could really be up for grabs, and I would not be surprised if this will definitely go to a 3 game series. Well, we're gonna have a 3 game series in this one. Though one thing that, like I said, I definitely did not expect from this tight series is that so far the road team has been able to get the result. So that might bode well for NYCFC heading into game number 3. But again, remember in game number 1, Zaha was not available for Charlotte, and he did at least had some sort of impact for this team. But again, they the one thing that Charlotte needs to do heading into game number 3, they need to be more clinical and need to put away their chances and need to get Tokomati more involved because yeah, I know this format which theoretically you can technically still able to get yourself into the next round without scoring a single goal. I mean that would be the most MLS sicko way to do so, but ideally, if you're Charlotte heading into that pivotal game 3, they want to score a goal and get that done, and does not want to take their chances to a PK shot, and definitely do not want to take their chances in terms of holding on to a 1 goal lead heading into that next game, because as you remember what happened last year when they hold on to a 1 goal lead late in the game, it did not go so well for them against Orlando City, and I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to trigger Charlotte fans any PTSD of what happened last year when they play against Orlando City in the first round. Now, moving on in terms of the next match. So, while there were a couple of games that is going to have game number 3, this was not one of them. Philly, of course, get the job done, and now I'm really regretting picking the Chicago Fire to go all the way to the conference final. Again, I said this before. I knew one of my prediction is going to be completely wrong. I knew my bracket is going to be just completely bust, and I also want to apologize to Chicago Fire fans for maybe jinxing them by picking them to go deep into the playoffs because yeah, this was an absolute disaster for the Chicago Fire. This felt like the old Chicago Fire that we saw in this game, where there were mistakes from their goalkeeper in this one. Now it's important to note that Chris Brady was not available in this one, and even though Chris Brady wasn't available in this one, their backup goalkeeper Jeffrey Gall, he has had some minutes for this Fire team. I mean, it's not like he just come off the bench and he never play an MLS game, but in this one, man, it feels like I think the lights kind of got too bright on him because what a nightmare night this was from Jeffrey goal. And I know he's going to be an easy scapegoat in terms of Chicago losing this one because of the mistakes that he made. But overall, it was just a bad night for the Fire all around. And that includes the fans too, because we'll talk about something that happened late in this game that, yeah, I think we might see some sort of fans in that fan base, and especially the supporter group for this team to potentially be handing a hefty fine or even a ban because of the thing that they did late in this game. Now, in the first half, Iloski would put it way high as that was the game's first shot, but on the second shot of the game, it's in the back of the net as Ty Baribo would score to make it 1-0 in favor of the Union. Baribo has been kind of gone for a bit of a goalless drought lately, similar to what we saw last season where he kind of disappeared as well. But he finally breaks that with a goal here, and he can thank Jeffrey Gall for this because, yeah, I mean, Jeffrey Gall just tried to play it out of the back. How many times I've said before, when you're a goalkeeper and you try to play out of the back, you got to make sure you do it correctly because if you don't do it correctly, like this incident, yeah, you're gonna get absolutely punished, and there it is. I mean, Gall just playing out of the back, didn't do it well, gives it right to Baribos, who said thank you very much. He tucks it in to make it 1-0 in favor of the Union, and then 9 minutes later, he would make it 2-0 as he scored from Wagner and Lukic to make it 2-0 in favor of the Union. And I mean, bro, you couldn't ask for a worse start for the Chicago Fire. I mean, this is the last thing that they needed, and especially with the fact that there was just so much energy coming into this game. It was a packed crowd at SeatGeek Stadium, and this is really the Fire first true playoff game that they had in quite some while. I mean, I know they of course had the home playing round, but this was really the first time that they're at the true first round of the playoffs, and yeah, that energy quickly zap and turned really toxic late in this one as well. But yeah, a horrible start for the Fire. But again, the silver line is they've been in this situation before. Remember, they were down 2-0 on the road against the Union back in game one. So the question is, can they dig themselves out of it again? Well, they tried to do so with some possession, but they really didn't do much with the possession. They were really only launching some hope for a long ball. Now, part of that is because of the fact that the Union was doing a good job in terms of shutting down the passing lanes that the Fire has. And this is not a big surprise. The Union is the best defensive team in the league, and they're the best defensive team by no accident. This is a team that does that to opposition. They limit chances to opposition as well, and it was kind of getting to a point where for these Fire players, they just couldn't create anything going forward because there's just no passing length that they can develop. But that being said, in the 28th minute, it looked like they got a lifeline because a penalty was given to the Fire after Lukic brought down Elliott in the box there. So here comes Gutierrez, a chance to score from the spot, and maybe a deja vu all over again from game number one, where the Fire comes back from a 2-0 deficit. And it doesn't happen because Andre Blake, he comes up big to deny Gutierrez from the spot. Now, to be fair, it was not a great penalty from Brian Gutierrez, but yeah, Andre Blake, we know how he is when it comes to PK stops in both the regular season and the playoffs. He's one of the best in the league, so it was not a big surprise that he saved that. Although, again, that was not a great penalty from Brian Gutierrez, and not only the fact that you can hear a sigh of disappointment after the PK miss, but you can just hear a pin drop in the Fire fans out there. I mean, that was a chance for them to get themselves back into this game. And to add insult to injury and just an absolute kick in the nuts, in the 35th minute, the Union would make it 3-0 as Damiani would score from Iloski to make it 3-0 in this one. And remember, Jeffrey Gall made an absolute howard in the 7 minutes that gifted the Union go. Well, this is 2.0. So he tried to clear this one away, but it was deflected. It was actually Iloski the one that deflected this one, and then it falls to Demian, who, to be fair, he actually hits that one pretty well on the volley into empty net. Not an easy finish, even if he needs to hit that into the empty net, but he does that. It's 3-0 in favor of the Philadelphia Union, and not only the fact that that's two howler from Jeffrey Gall, but this is probably the first time I've ever seen the home fans boo their goalkeeper. I usually never see that happen, but I can kind of understand the frustration between the home fans and Gall getting boo here as the ball passed back to him because you just made two absolute uh howler, something that you just usually never see an MLS goalkeeper do more than once in a game, let alone two times. So yeah, this feels like just a nightmare night for him, and I feel for him too as well. I mean, I it's such a difficult position for him to be in, even though I know he has got some rep in the regular season. It's a complete different animal when the playoff begin. There's no doubt if Brady wasn't in going this one, he's not going to make those mistakes. Though I will also say that even if Brady was in goal, won this game either because just nothing was going right for the Chicago Fire in this one. It just feels like Murphy's Law was going with the Chicago Fire in this one. The game also kind of become physical, which again not a big surprise. I feel like every Union game always become physical because that's kind of the style that they like to play. It feels like Bradley Cornell now learned that style from Jim Kern and kind of brought it to this team as well because there were some rough challenges and some small coming together as well between both teams. But as the halftime whistle was blown, the Bluebirds were out. I mean, the Bluebirds were definitely in full force, and I don't blame the fans booing because again, I mean, after an incredible season like this, and with them show so much perseverance, they basically are seeing the old Chicago Fire in this game, and this is the last thing that they need, especially in an elimination game like this. So we go to the second half with the Union up 3-0. In the second half, Pineda would flash it wide from close before Gutierrez thought that he put the ball into the back of the net, but the goal was disallowed for handball because of course it is. And actually, Andre Blake kind of did a goal moment here. I don't know what was going on with that goal right in front of the Fire supporter group because that's 3 times that we've seen on that end where goalkeepers made an absolute howler there, and here Blake just made an absolute howler there. Clear that ball away way too late, and Gutierrez was able to block that one and put it into the back net. Problem was he handballed that one as he was blocked that because of course that is the case. That's just how the day has gone for the Chicago Fire in this one, and yeah, that is just a very unfortunate moment. Though obviously the fans did not agree with that, and they immediately told the referee that he really sucked because of that. So yeah, either way, in the 66th minute, Ilowski would puts it high from long range. I also thought that it just too static for the Fire, especially on the attack. They just no urgency whatsoever going forward on the attack. And I understand you're down 3-0, and the confidence is absolutely shot for this team, but you gotta at least try and show some perseverance because you're in an elimination game like that. You can't just have your heads hang down. And we talk about the resilience that this Fire team have shown this season, and it feels like that's just something different from previous Fire team. I didn't see any of that in this game. You can clearly see the heads were dropping in this one. It feels like this game was lost and defeated for the Fire a long time ago. Human would then head it wide from close in the 78th minute, and then this is when things kind of got ugly when it comes to the toxicity in the crowd because yeah, the name redacted chant rained out in this one, and they actually did stop this game because of the name redacted chant being rang out. This is also the second time that this has happened this season. The first time happened in the San Diego versus St. Louis game. I know that because I attended that game, and yeah, I don't remember that game. Did they actually stop the game because of the name redacted chant, but nevertheless, just not a good look on hand, and they had to stop the game. And while the game was stopped, Greg Berhalter actually immediately went to the supporter group and kind of told them to knock it off. And from what I heard, it seems like it did came from the supporter group that decided to ring out the name redacted chant. Though, yeah, the supporter group and the fans did not approve that message because they immediately told the referee that he sucked after the game was stopped because of the name redacted chant. Definitely an interesting response from the fans, and that's all I'll say because they continued to do that chant, and the game was stopped again for the second time, and this time not only Greg Berhalter, well actually Berhalter didn't came to tell the fans to knock it off, but now the Fire and Union player were coming to the fans to try to knock them off. I believe Jack Elliott, the captain, even and came to the fans and just tell them that you got to stop this because I know that it's frustrating and they're on their way in terms of getting eliminated after such a promising season, but this is just not a good look in any ways for Fire fans to do this. And yeah, that was also the last time that we heard that chant thankfully, and luckily you start the fans started to head toward the exit again. And there was also only 2 minutes of stoppage time in this one. I was kind of surprised we even had any stoppage time. If I was the referee, I would have just called this game because there's just no need to keep this game going, especially with the toxicity both on and off the pitch. But yeah, in the end, the Union does win 3-0 in this one. The shots in this one, 9 shots for the 7 that the Union has, 3 shots on goal for the 2 that the Fire has, 3 shots off target for the 2 that the Union has, 2 shots that was blocked for the 4 that Chicago has, and possession-wise, 68% possession compared to 32% possession the Union has in this one. And as promising of a season as this has been for the Chicago Fire, and especially how inspiring this season has been for the Fire, it sucks the fact that at the end of the day we have to talk about what happened late in this one. And even the Chicago Fire did release a statement about that at the end of the game. And yeah, again, I just hate it when that moment happened. And it's something that the league has definitely fully enforced it, and even each team has fully enforced it that you cannot decided to bring out that chant, because if you're gonna bring out that chant, the game is gonna be stopped, and there could be some harsh punishment. And when it comes to the supporter group for the Chicago Fire, I have heard history that they have a history of causing trouble whatsoever. So I won't be surprised we might see some disciplinary action, both maybe in the league or within the team itself, in terms of the supporter group that basically decided to ring out those chants late in this game. But besides that, for the Union, this was a perfect road game for them, and they took advantage in terms of some mistakes that they have, but overall, this was just a perfect road game for them. And what a way to kind of bounce back after, I know they did win game number 1, but it was kind of a bit of a bitter sweet kind of game 1 because of the way that they blow that 2-0 lead. But this time they make sure there was no lead that is blown, and they now look like a team that could definitely be a scary team. I maybe have underestimated this team of how good they could be. I mean, after all, they did win the supporter show after all, and that this is a team that, even though I know some fans might think, some Union fans think that maybe they might be playing house money, especially with Bradley Carnell in charge, and also with this new group. I think this is an excellent opportunity to like capitalize and finally climb over the mountain, because after all, the Union, this is a team that just simply need to conquer their demons, and I think they have a good chance to do so, because now they're gonna have a home field advantage throughout. They're not gonna be playing a playoff game outside Subaru Park for the rest of the playoffs, and knowing that they have been very good this season at home, this is a great opportunity. We might see the Union make it all the way to MLS Cup. So of course things are not going to be easier. They're going to face even more tougher competition in the Eastern Conference. That being said, moving on in terms of the next game, and now actually I'm going to switch the board manually. I actually spent a long time talking about that game, that is. So let me kind of speed it up a little bit by talking about the next game between Nashville and Inter Miami, because even though I know the clock does move back an hour tomorrow, I still want to try to do this review and just head to it. Just clicked it, go all the way. But yeah, moving on. In the next game, we got Nashville and Inter Miami, and we will have a game free between Nashville versus Inter Miami. And if you're a Miami fan, I mean, there's got to be a lot of concern after this game, because this was a scoreline last year after they lost to Atlanta United. Now, obviously, this time they didn't lose in the 90th minute, that is, but the fact that now that they're heading back to South Florida for game number 3, and the fact that all the pressure is now on them to be able to beat Nashville and move on into the next round and not have that deja vu feeling, yeah, there's got to be a lot of concern. I think you got to say if you're an Inter Miami fan, but for Nashville, I mean, it feels like the momentum is with them, and for once, even though they once again weren't clinical in this game in some point, and weren't able to just kind of completely put out of sight over Inter Miami, they were kind of fortunate the fact that Inter Miami themselves were also not being clinical in front of goal for the most part. Now, in the first half, 7 minutes in, a penalty was given to Nashville after Rios Novos brought down Surridge in the box. So Surridge, of course, won the penalty. He, of course, takes the penalty here and he buries it. So he makes it 1-0 in favor of Nashville. He's become much more stable when it comes to the spot there. It was not long ago where Nashville has had a huge issue when it comes to PK Ticker, but they've done much better when it comes to that lately. Messi did look to respond, but he somehow missed wide in the 14th minute before Mio had a shot that was deflected and goes high. And in the post, denied Suarez from close range in the 19th minute. Suarez had some big chance in this one and somehow weren't able to put one in. And I also thought the defending seems like it was kind of optional at times in this game because both of these teams were getting some great A chances throughout this one. Alande would then miss an absolute sitter from close in the 33rd minute. He actually won a penalty because he felt like he was dragged down when he missed the sitter here, but the referee says no. Rios Novo then denied Mukhtar from long range before he denied Yazbek from close in the 44th minute. Nashville definitely has the momentum, but again, just like decision day, only a 1-0 lead. It's only a 1 goal lead for them. They know how this story usually comes, and it feels like they just need a bigger lead, or else this is going to come back to haunt them. Well, it feels like they saw what I wrote because literally seconds after I wrote that, they would score the second goal of the game. As Josh Bauer, unlikely the source, score here to make it 2-0 in favor of Nashville. It came off of a set pieces, which you know what that means. Yep, the Miami set piece Achilles heel strike again. I mean, this is a team that we have seen their struggle in terms of defending set pieces. To be fair, they have done a little bit better this season, and when I mean a little, I mean maybe a tiny bit better compared to previous season. They still struggle in that spot, and that is always a spot where you can catch Inter Miami, and a spot that you can, if you desperately need a goal, that is definitely the moment to do so. And yeah, just like that, Nashville were up 2-0 heading into halftime. In the second half, Surridge did look for free, but he missed high there. I thought it was a much better start for Nashville in the second half. This was very important for me to see how, after what we saw in decision day with Nashville having the lead heading into the second half against Miami, how would they respond heading in the second half? Would they actually not do what they did on decision day, which is just kind of sit back and hope that they can hold on to the lead? Well, no. BJ Cowan, it feels like he learned his lesson. They were being a little bit more aggressive going for on the attack. They want to get another one. And the reason why that is the case is because Miami will continue to get chances and continue to get some great chances. Suarez had a chance on the doorstep of goal, but he was absolutely raw by Joe Willis in this one in the 65th minute. Surridge would then absolutely shank one from close in the 73rd minute before Mule would head it wide from close in the 78th minute. Even though we got 10 minutes left in this game, again, if you're Nashville, they need this third goal because we have seen before where it does not take much for Miami to come from behind. Like as long as they score one goal to get back into this game. All of a sudden, if you're a Nashville fan, you're just giving PTSD in terms of what happened on decision day and all the other encounter that they had against Inter Miami because Messi's gonna keep getting chances. He hits one right to Willis after Nashville turned it over in the 86th minute, but then the 90th minute, Miami get one back. As Messi, he scored from DePaul to make it 2-1 in favor of Nashville. You know the goal is going to score. I mean, him scoring against Nashville was like clockwork, and when that goal went in, you can definitely not only hear well, you do hear the Messi and also the plastic Miami fans celebrate at this park. There was definitely a lot of them once again in this game stadium. But if you're a Nashville fan, I mean, you're thinking, oh my God, is this gonna happen again? Where we somehow choke late in the game against this Miami team, and they almost did too. As in the second minute of stoppage time, so they did look to tie it, and he had a good look, but he hits this one wide there, and you can definitely hear a nervy energy inside the 30,000 fans in Geodis Park. Because again, if you're a Nashville fan, you've seen this story before. You are just dying for the full time whistle to be sound. The good news is the full time whistle did sound, and in the end, Nashville forced a game free. They win 2-1. This series is going to go back to South Florida once again, and the shots in this one, 9 shots with 11 that Miami has, 3 shots on goal for the 5 that Nashville has. Both teams have 3 shots off target, 1 shot on the block for the 3 that Miami has, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to the 40% possession that Nashville has in this game. And like I said, if you're a Miami fan, you got to be really nervous now because you saw what happened last year in game number 3, a game that well, they might have thought that they of course dropped their road game. You would have thought that they would get the job done in game 3, right? They did not get the job done. In fact, the opposition goalkeeper that night, Brad Guzan, had an incredible night. Who would to say that it might be deja vu all over again in game number 3? Who would to say that Joe Willis might have a superhero game in game number 3 and somehow Nashville steals that one? This is why it's so important to finish your opponent. And I've also have heard throughout this today. I'm hearing broadcasters say, well, maybe teams might want to force a game free, or maybe they don't want to sweep the series straight away because there is going to be a huge break before they play the next playoff game. And that's kind of course, the unfortunate thing about the playoff format, the fact that, after this, there's going to be teams that's going to be out for almost 3 weeks because of the international break. But at the same time, you just don't want to take that by chance. I also kind of find it crazy for the broadcaster to say this because no team is going to have that kind of mindset of we want to force game free because we want to stay fresh for the next round. No team is going to have that mindset. Every single team that come into game two with the lead, their objective is to finish it off and don't take their chances in terms of game free. Because if you take your chances in terms of game free, yeah, anything can happen in that game free. And like I said, for Miami, they better hope it's not deja vu all over again. Because if it's deja vu all over again, I mean, while I know the rest of the league will definitely laugh at Inter Miami, that's not really great when it comes to revenue. And I'm pretty sure Don Gabbard and the Apple TV producer and the CEO is going to be absolutely fuming if somehow they're the golden team fall out in the first round, and the revenue and the ratings will absolutely plummet after this. Now, moving on in terms of the next game, are you ready to get to talk about some crazy games in terms of these last two one? I'm gonna have to also erase the board and put up the last game as well, as I didn't have enough room to put up the last game. But are you ready to talk about some games that really went MLS after dark? Portland Timbers were just seconds away for their season to be ended. Like San Diego looked like they got this one in the bag and get this a 2 game sweep over the Timbers. But credit to the Portland Timbers. They show some tenacity. And I think if there's one thing that I've said so many times throughout the season, and it's still rang true, at least in these last 2 games, you cannot go rogue Heathrow when you face against your opposition. You cannot keep your opposition just stay in the game and keep them at bay, or keep them within one goal, and also just keep putting or keep holding on to the pressure and letting them put the pressure all over you, because eventually that pressure is going to buckle. And yeah, San Diego kind of found that the hard way in this one. In the first half, Ajelo would hit it right to Dos Santos just 57 seconds in before Valde would hit it into the side netting. Well, Valde was actually trying to fire up the fans after he hits the side netting. Dua was having none of it. He actually took exception to it and pushed Valde away. I actually have never seen that happen before, where an opponent player would literally take it personally when the opposition decide to fire up the fans, especially when you're the road team. That was kind of weird to see. But there was no doubt that it was a much better start for the Portland Timbers, and they had to be. I mean, it's a must-win game. They cannot be playing like they did against San Diego, where they kind of play scare for majority of the game. The post would deny Valde from close before McVay would miss an absolute sitter from a free header from close range. That miss would be costly because just 4 minutes later, Christopher Valde would score from Anthony and Pantemis to make it 1-0 in favor of the Portland Timbers. So after Valde did not score in the regular season, he has 2 goals in the last 2 games. It feels like he finally not only have broke that duck, but it feels like now that the Portland Timbers are starting to see the Christopher their fault Valde that they thought that they would get when they bought him over the summer transfer window. And then we had a very scary incident here where Dos Santos actually took a knee to the head after he was trying to get to that ball before Kelsey would have shot it. And again, this is just the unfortunate thing about the game itself. When you see that kind of happen, that's always a very scary thing. It's not the first time I've seen where a goalkeeper took a knee to the head when both the attacking and also the goalkeeper trying to get to the ball first. And obviously Kelsey, there was no intention there. They were both trying to get the ball at the same time, and it's just unfortunate that of course is the end result. And Dos Santos actually had to be stretched off here, and I definitely wish him a speedy recovery because this looked very similar to what we saw earlier in the season when he had an injury similar to this. But Ciciega did replace him in his spot. Ajela would then puts it wide from long range in the 30th minute before Kelsey thought that it was 2-0 in favor of the Timbers. Problem was, Flag disagreed with him. It was up for offside, and it was pretty obvious. He was about a yard or two offside. Timbers looked much more threatening. They were looking to try to get that second goal, and they definitely look much more threatened on the attack compared to what they have in game number one. And San Diego was being very leaky at the back in this one. Though Bear did try to poke one in from the back post, but he couldn't quite do so. But then in the 12-minute stoppage time, because keep in mind there was a lot of stoppage time in this because of the Dos Santos injury, Pellegrino scores. So he scored from Bear here to ties the game at one apiece. And, I'm still proud of what Amal Pellegrino has. I mean, as a Quakes fan, I have no feelings in terms of the Quakes letting go Pellegrino. I mean, I know some people might think that I regret that decision or the Quakes regret that decision. The bottom line is that the Quakes had to do it because of the way that he just not produced the way that he should. And I think he is another classic example of what happened when you finally break the goal drought as a number nine. When you finally break the goal drought, not only the goal looked much bigger than it needs to before, but just a huge relief comes off your system, and we're seeing it now with Pellegrino. I mean, after he broke that goal drought a couple of weeks ago, he is just scoring for fun for San Diego, and it looked like he did it again just 2 minutes later. But the problem was, they did go to VAR to see whether or not if he was in an offside position. It didn't take long for them to decide because it was pretty obvious that he was offside, and yeah, that was a wake up call for the Portland Timbers, and it was kind of crazy because just a couple of minutes ago, I was going to say that San Diego probably needs halftime because, for the most part, they didn't do much in this first half. But now I feel like it's Portland that needs halftime badly because the Timbers were kind of hanging on for dear life late in this stoppage time. And fortunately, they were able to head to halftime with the score tied up at one apiece. Unfortunately, though, they would eventually give up that second goal in the 51st minute, as guess who? It's Chucky Lozano. So coming back in the starting lineup, you wonder what his mindset is going to be after some off the field situation. Well, it turns out his mindset is definitely good because he scored here to get 2-1 in favor of San Diego. Pantemis did make the save here, but it just fall right to Lozano, and yeah, Lozano's not going to miss those chances. So yeah, that made it 2-1 in favor of San Diego. He also kissed the badge too, just to kind of shows you that he has this team back. He then looked for another, but missed one in the 53rd minute. But the momentum was all with San Diego up to this point. They were pressing to try to get another. Kelsey would then puts it wide as the flag went up, and I feel like the flag kind of saved Kelsey blemish here because that was not a great miss from Kevin Kelsey. And this would also be a story for majority of the second half where Portland had a ton of chances here in the second half. Lozano would then hits it right to Pantemis. There was a shot for a handball for the Timbers, not given because the flag went up for offside. Fernandez would miss a free header in the back post before Valde would hit it wide in the 74th minute. The Timbers were definitely pushing hard to try to get the equalizer with the season on the line. Mora would then hit it wide from close in the 88th minute, and I just kind of at this point thinking, yeah, it just feels like it's not going to be the Timbers' night. I mean, they've been missing so many big chances up to this point, and the only thing I can think that they have a chance to stay alive is they need kind of almost some sort of miracle to finally found that finishing to stay off elimination. Guess what? That miracle happened because in the 8th minute of stoppage time, literally the last kick of the game, where San Diego was just seconds away of moving on, and the Timbers seconds away of exiting the playoffs this season. Gage Carrera scored his first career MLS goal in the 8th minute of stoppage time in this game from Lassiter to tie the game up at two apiece. So, yeah, what a moment that is for the youngster, and you couldn't pick a more perfect moment to score your first career MLS goal. Literally a goal that saved the Portland Timbers at that point, and as a result, we go to a PK shootout when I didn't think that was going to happen. Now, to be fair, before we got to the PK shootout, there was actually a shout for a penalty for San Diego not given late in this one. But once we go to the PK shootout, you kind of had a sense that the momentum was with Portland Timbers, and they kind of took that momentum. Though that being said, this was not a great PK shootout. I mean, we talked about the earlier PK shootout where it went deep, mainly because that PK shootout between NYCFC and in Charlotte was a PK shootout where there was a lot great takes. This was anything but that. I mean, this was pretty ugly to see. There was four straight PK miss at one point between both of these teams, and eventually, in round number five, Anthony was able to hit the winning penalty in this one, and this was after San Diego missed three PKs in a row. All three of those PKs were either hitting the post or going over. You just wondered, did San Diego practice PK in coming into this one, because man, it was pretty bad seeing how awful they were from the spot in this moment. But nevertheless, because of that, and also the Timbers getting the PK shootout, they survive. They're going back to San Diego to play game three in that series. And if the goal by Guerrera, it turns out to be the goal that only saved the Timbers, but if the Timbers does went on to win game number three, I mean, again, that just shows you the magic of the playoffs, where you could be on your last breath in terms of being in the playoffs, but just somehow with a hail mary and a miracle, you stay in the playoffs and maybe move on into the next round. Shots in this one, 16 shots for the 9 that San Diego has, 4 shots on goal for the 5 that San Diego has, 1 shots off target for the 5 that the Timbers had, 4 shots on was blocked for the 2 that San Diego has, and possession-wise, 39% possession compared to 61% possession that San Diego has in this game. And despite that the miracle goal that they scored late in this one, I think the Timbers deserve the win in this one. I mean, they were the better team in this one, and now they just need to repeat that performance when they're playing on the road against San Diego, which it could happen. I mean, as long as they don't do what they did in game number one, which is just kind of completely pin deep and let San Diego dictate the play, they can definitely have a chance to win it. But now for San Diego, I mean, as great as this season as it is, and I know people might have heard about the San Diego curse and how that sports town tends to be one of the most cursed sports town in the country. Man, imagine if they lose game number three, and how that feels like it's added to the latest of San Diego curse failures that we've seen, where they were literally seconds away of becoming the first expansion team to win a playoff series since Nashville did back in 2020, and now they have to go to game number three and have to go back to Snapdragon Stadium, a place where they haven't really done so well this season, and they pretty much will now have no momentum coming into a very confident Portland Timbers side heading into that crucial game number three. With that being said, I am now going to switch board one more time to look at the last game to finish off this 5 game review of the second game of the best of three series in these playoffs. All right, so now let's talk about the last game between FC Dallas and the Vancouver Whitecaps. And this game was almost a carbon copy of what we saw in the previous game, where it looked like the team that hold on to a 1 goal lead had enough in terms of getting the win. But in this case, it looks like Dallas was going to be heading back to Vancouver and force game number three. But yeah, they did Rohit as well, even though I know they're playing at home in this game. And if you do that, especially against the Vancouver Whitecaps. I mean, the Whitecaps is one of the last team you want to just hold on to a 1 goal lead. With the way that the Whitecaps have always found a way to get themselves a late goal to salvage something, and all the adversity the Whitecaps have faced throughout this journey, both in the regular season and in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Yeah, you just kind of had a sense that that 1-0 lead wasn't going to hold. And I was kind of also not surprised the fact that you just kind of had a sense Vancouver is eventually going to get a late goal, and they did exactly that and force a shootout as well. Now in the first half, Takaoka would deny Musa, but it falls to Romero, who hits it right to Takaoka before Musa missed wide from close in the 8th minute. It was a much better game for Pedro Musa, and especially for this Dallas attack as well. I mean, that Dallas attack in game one, to say that that attack was non-existent is an understatement. I mean, they did nothing in that game. And when I say nothing, I mean that's not even an exaggeration. They had 0 shots in that game. Musa was pretty much invincible in that game, but he definitely made a bigger impact in this game. Dallas was definitely on the front foot, and they just completely looked like a different team from game number one. The first shot for Vancouver did see Ocampo puts it wide from long range before Taco got denied Musa, but falls to Mungo, who had a chance to bury his on the second chance, but he flashed it wide on the volley. Sabi would then miss wide from close in the 23rd minute, but then in the 25th minute, Musa would score, because of course that was going to happen. You give the Moose so many chances, he's going to bury one, and he buries this one from Romero to give Dallas a 1-0 lead. I immediately wrote, yep, that's been coming, because Dallas has been pushing to get that opener, and they thought they got their second just 4 minutes later when Kamungo puts it into the back net. Problem was, the flag did not agree with him, so the goal was disallowed for offside. Musa did look for another, but he missed wide in the 31st minute. Where in the world was this Dallas team from game number one? I mean, I said that they look like a complete team. It just feels like the script has completely flipped in this one. It feels like now Dallas was the one that was dominating in this game instead of Vancouver, like they did in game number one, because up to this point they pretty much hold Vancouver to only only no, I think only two shots up to this point, and haven't had a shot on goal throughout the entire first half. But we do head to halftime with Dallas leading 1-0, and in the second half, yeah, I think Jasper Sorensen, he probably had some choice words with his team because he's probably not happy in terms of his team playing one of the worst first half they ever played this season. But in the second half, Uragide would hit it wide from close range. Not much chances really happened early on. Vancouver definitely took more control of this game, but not much really created because Dallas were putting almost a wall in front of goal. It feels like this is when you kind of realize that, yeah, it feels like they're going to try to protect a 1-0 lead. And again, I don't think that usually work out when you're facing against this team that have always found a way to score late goals to get themselves something out of the game. Sabi would then had a shot that was deflected wide. Vancouver just completely took over this game. Dallas was just getting pinned deep, trying to hold on to the 1-0 lead. Though the shots were still in favor of Dallas. Up to that point, 10-5 in favor of them. Vancouver had zero shot on target. And I will give Dallas credit the fact that even though they were kind of going a little row heave mode, they defended really well up for a majority of this game until they did in stoppage time. Berhalter would then pulls it wide from long range in the 72nd before Habuni would puts it wide from close. It was just all hands on deck for Dallas trying to grind this game out, and they don't do it because again, you just don't want to do row heave mode against Vancouver. They're always going to find a way, and they found a way in the third minute of stoppage time as Ralph Priso scored here to get the tying goal for Vancouver. It's also the Whitecaps' first shot on target, and it came after there was some chaos in the Dallas box from a set piece opportunity. Kaludi actually makes a great save to deny Priso here, but Priso got it on the rebound and puts it in. So actually, to be fair, that technically isn't the first shot on target in my opinion because the first shot on target was actually the save from Colodi. But hey, that was really the first time that they actually put on frame of net in a sequence throughout this game. So yeah, I mean, even though they didn't do much in this one, they found a way. The game was tied up at one apiece, and they were not done. Illumi would then try to win it, but he flashed that one wide in the fifth minute stoppage time before Jaden Nelson tried to do so again, but he was absolutely robbed by Colodi here. So yeah, talk about some big opportunity for the Vancouver Whitecaps late in this one. It almost felt like not only the momentum was with them, they don't even want to go to a PK shootout. But alas, we do go to a PK shootout, and it was a pretty short one because in round number four, Nolan Norris would miss the crucial penalty to end Dallas season, and yeah, he never looked confident. It was kind of weird to see Peter Quo in terms of putting him in that spot, especially for a 20-year-old like him. His penalty kick taker, that was kind of a strange choice. There was some PK taker on that team that I just didn't think I had a lot of confidence that they were going to bury it, and I don't think Dallas fans thought that is true. But nevertheless, Vancouver does move on. And by the way, I rushed this so fast when it comes to writing the stats. I didn't even put the team name, so let me do that right away. So, yeah, Dallas, of course, end up with 10 shots compared to 13 that Vancouver has. So Dallas didn't had a shot for a pretty long part of the period. Remember when I wrote that they had the lead at 10-5? Yeah, that was kind of the last shot that they would get for majority of this game. In fact, I think Uragide header was the last shot that Dallas had. Dallas had no shot pretty much for the entire second half. It almost felt like it was a repeat of what we saw in game number one. Free shots on goal for the two that Vancouver has. 5 shots off target for the six that Dallas had. 5 shots that was blocked for the one that Dallas had. And possession wise, 63% possession compared to 37% possession that Dallas has in this game. And while this was definitely not one of the prettiest games for the Vancouver Whitecaps, especially the first half, they showed up in the second half in the nick of time and once again do what they usually do, which is when adversity hits them the hardest, they always find a way because that's what Jasper Sorensen's team has done all season long, and now they're head to uncharted territory. This is the first time that the Vancouver Whitecaps have made it to the conference semifinal, and also the first time that they finally defeat the narrative of not able to get past the first round. So certainly congratulations to the Vancouver Whitecaps to finally break that curse. But obviously we know the Whitecaps are not done. Like this is a team that again I've said that they aren't MLS Cup contender. And while they definitely didn't look like it in tonight's game, the good news is they are going to have home field advantage for a couple more playoff game and maybe even have it for the rest of the playoffs, depending on if San Diego will meet them in the conference final. So yeah, overall they survive and they move on to the next round, and they will see who they will face in the next round as well. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. We got 2 more games that's gonna happen tomorrow as well. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.